All right, let's get started. Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for coming here. So we are going to build something simple together, which is going to show you how to work with a multimodal database like ArangoDB, as well as how to use n8n to trigger emails and trigger certain actions. So confidence is going to before that, let me talk a bit about how what is ArangoDB and why is it so great. And Chris, feel free to chime in and talk a bit about ArangoDB. But the best thing about ArangoDB is that it's natively multimodal, so you can store data elements, key value pairs, or graphs. And you basically use the same query language for all different models, so it keeps things simple for you. It's very scalable and performant because of the way it deals with different models. It maintains data consistency across all different kinds of models and supports ACID transactions as well. And you can independently scale different data models, and you can scale ArangoDB horizontally or vertically. So that's why ArangoDB is pretty cool. It's been around for a while. It's a really stable and a very popular database. So we are very excited to give our users access to ArangoDB. Chris, would you like to add anything here?
Hey, yeah, I won't add a whole bunch. Just say hello. I'm just definitely interested to see the use case as well from my end, and yeah, I think you put it well. We're a native multi-model, and that's I think that you gave a pretty good introduction to it as well. And like you also said, if you do have any questions regarding ArangoDB or getting started, that sort of stuff, definitely feel free to reach out to me directly, Christopher@arangodb.com, or I recommend also just joining our community Slack. We have a very active ArangoDB community Slack channel, so if you want to learn more about that, definitely feel free to reach out. Otherwise, I'll mostly just be sitting back and I was just curious on this use case myself. So thanks for letting me say hello, though.
Thanks, Chris. Feel free to paste your email as well as the link to your Slack community in chat so that everybody can just access it.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, happy to.
All right, awesome. So let's talk a bit about how we are going to be using AppSmith today. So first thing we're going to be doing is connecting to an ArangoDB instance inside AppSmith. So we're going to show you that. Then we'll go ahead and build our UI. Then we're going to write ArangoDB queries inside AppSmith itself because we have a native query editor. And then we are going to connect query response to AppSmith widgets, or we are going to trigger a query using another AppSmith widget, like a button or a table selected row property. And after we are done with that, we are simply going to deploy the application. Let's talk about what we are building today. So we're going to be building a dashboard that will help a retail store track their inventory and manage products. So this is going to firstly help us see what's the top and the worst performing products in that retail store. So you're going to see a bunch of charts here. Then you're going to be able to see inventory levels for each product. So you'll be able to see what do you need to replenish and what are you holding too much of. So you can actually try to run a promotion and convince your customers to buy them. So again, this is going to be another chart as well as a few numbers. So this is all like simple BI stuff, right? But this is where AppSmith is special. You can now also trigger an email that goes out to your email database, telling them that you have a discount on a product, let's say that has a expiry date, and you really need to sell that out very quickly. So you can actually create that email and trigger that email from inside AppSmith. And then you can also delist poorly performing products. It doesn't make sense for you to stock and hold everything. So you'll also be able to remove products from your shelves that are not doing so well. So this is another. So in this dashboard, what you're going to see is some data as well as ability to trigger these actions. And that's what confidence is gonna show you. So it's demo time. Our developer advocate Confidence is now going to take over and show us how it's done. Over to you, Confidence. Okay, while Confidence is joining us, I'm going to just show you the application that we'll be building. So this is what we are going to be building today. So here you can see some statistics right here. Number of products, number of orders, number of users, and the total departments. Departments are like categories of products that you can hold in the store. Here you'll also be able to see the top selling products. As we can see, it's banana. It's a banana, and then you can also see all the products that are not selling that well. You can see that the sales are just like 111, and you can actually click this and see details of a particular product. Yes, right here. I think we are having a problem with an API. Confidence, do you want to take over?
Okay, so a quick overview of the data we'll be using to build the application. So right here we have the data in ArangoDB, and we have a couple of collections. So we'll be using the Instacart data set that comes built in with ArangoDB. And here we have a couple of collections. We have one for the house, we have another for the departments, we have one more for the order, the products, and the users. So let's get started by creating an app and connecting it to the database. So I'm going to create an app. All right, so the first thing that I'm going to do is to create a connection between this application I just built on AppSmith and the ArangoDB data source that we just saw. So I need to create one by going to the data source pane. I'm going to click on create new. And here where it says ArangoDB, I'm going to supply credentials to connect to my ArangoDB instance. So let's call this Arango. For the host address, I am going to paste this in, and this is the port of my database. So I'm going to paste this right there. Then for my database name, I'm just going to paste in the database name. And we need to do some authentication. So I need to supply root user and password. So this is going to be root. And for the password, I'm just going to paste in the password. Since my database instance is on Arango Oasis, I would need to enable SSL. I'm going to set this in, and we can test this connection to see if everything works fine. Seems there's an error. All right, I think the error is coming from here. So I'm just going to take this out. So let's test this, and everything looks good. So we can save this and begin building the application. The first thing I want to do here is to use this data source we just created to get statistics from the database. So I want to be able to quickly see everything that is going on across all collections. I want to see how many orders we have, how many products we have, users, departments, and all of that statistics. So let's call this query dash stats. Let's select the grid. So what I'm going to do right now is to write a query that would go and do all of that. So I'll need to use the return keyword. And return basically returns anything between the braces. So I want to return an object, and the first property of the object will be orders. And in between these braces, I want to write the logic for the query that actually goes to check all the orders I have in the database, perform an aggregation, and give me the count of everything. So I would need to write some query here. So this is going to be a loop. So I'm going to write a for loop. Then I am going to collect all the documents and store them in a variable. So let's write the collect. Into a length variable. and I can return this. So let's return this. All right, so this is going to be an array, and it's just going to be an array of one item. So I just need to pick the first item that is returned. So let's test this. And you can see that we have a result of others, and I can see the total count of 50,000 others. So I'm going to do the same for the other collections so that I get to see everything that is stored within each collection, all documents count within each collection. So I'm going to paste this. We're just doing the same one. Same goes for the users collection and the same for the department. So I'm going to run this. And here we have statistics from each of those collections. So let us go back to the canvas and display the data coming from this query. So let's bring in some widgets. Need to use a container widget right here. So let's resize this a bit. Right. All right. We need to bring in an image widget too. So let's bring in an image widget right here. I'm going to expand this. And one more container widget where the start information is going to be. So let's size this a bit. And I'm going to expand this. Now I would bring in some text widgets to actually display data coming from the query we just created. So the first thing I want to do is to display the others data. So this would be reading data from that query. This is dash stats.data. So I just need to read the first item, so index 0. And then I can go on to read the others. So this will be dot others. Then we'll have the others showing up. So let's make this text big and we can center align that. And for the text below it, we can label this to say others. Center align this and make it faint. All right, so let's also do the same for the products, customers, and users. So I'm going to bring in the text. I'll put this right beside it. All right, so right now we are displaying stats coming from the dash stats query. Now let's create another query that would go to fetch the top products that are selling in the store. So for that, I would need to create a new query. So I'm going to head to the Arango data source, create a new query, and let's call this get top sales. And we can use any of these templates. So I already have something copied for this query. I'm just going to use that right here. And what this query does is that it takes a look at all the others that we have, the others collection we have in the database, and creates a bucket of products. And it sums that into a variable called total. For each product that has been collected, it goes to the product name. That is what we are doing right here. It goes to check for each of these products and grab the product name. And then the product name is displayed right here. So we are getting we are sorting in a descending order such that we will have the top sales happening first. And what we want to do here is just to capture the first 20 of them. So we are going to be getting the top 20 products from this query. So let's take a look at this. And here we see the top selling 20. So now that we have this data coming back, we can display this in a table. So let's head back to the application and bring in a container, and then we'll put a table widget within it. So let's bring it. All right, so what I want to do now is to display the data coming from the top sales query on the dashboard. So to do that, I would need to bring in a table widget. So I'm just going to bring in a table widget right here. I'm going to place this there. So let's resize this a bit. and I can expand that. Let's bring in a divider widget to serve as a boundary between this and the next table we'll be bringing in. So I'm going to set this to vertical orientation, and I'm going to resize this a bit. All right, so let's expand the table then. Data coming from the top sales query. So this is get top sales.data. And we have all the data coming in right here. So let's customize this table a bit. We do not want the IDs showing up, so we just want to have the sales and the product name. Another thing we want to do is to create a custom column that would allow us to view more information about the product that was selected. So this is the custom column. I'm going to call this U, and let's update this to say name. And for this will be sales. For the custom column, I'm going to set this to a button, and each button is going to have a label of U. And let's resize this so that we have everything looking nicely. All right. When this button is clicked, we want to do a few things. We want to store the current row that was selected on the table in the store, and then use the data stored in the absolute local store to trigger a query that would get more information about the particular product that was selected. So for that, I am going to enable JavaScript because we need to write some JavaScript, and I'm going to write an if right here. I'm going to invoke this. So first thing I want to do is to store this item, that is the row that was clicked on from the table. So I'm going to use the store value function, and I'm going to set this to prod, the key to prod, and for its value, this is going to be the item that was clicked on the table. So this will be table 1.selected row. All right. Next thing I want to do here is to call the endpoints that get product information. So this will be a new query. So this is going to be a new query. So let's create a new query. So let's call this get product info. And I'm going to write some query that is going to do just that. So what we have in this query is that we are storing the ID of the product that was clicked in the table in the absence store. And right here, we are reading the product ID. And when that is done, we go find the product that matches that ID. And after getting the product, we return the product ID, the total sales that that particular product has. And we also go to look for the product name. We get the product name right here. What we also go to do is to look for the aisle that particular product is in. And the same also goes for the department. We do a search for the department. And when that is done, we return the entire product back. So let us test this out. Now we have that query. I'm going to go back to the button here and call that query. So this would be get product info.run. And let's test this out to see if everything works well. So I'm going to click on the view button for the second product we have right here, and we would check this out to see if everything works fine. And we can see that we have some data coming back. Now that that is done, I would need to add a flow that actually lets us view products that we selected on the table. So let's bring in a modal. So I'm going to bring in a modal widget right here. And when the button is clicked, the view button is clicked, I want to open up this modal. So I'm going to go back to the table and the view button and open up that modal when the API is successfully called. So I'm going to open the modal. So let's do show modal. And for the modal name, this is going to be modal 1. All right, so we have that working. So clicking on this button would go to get more information about the item that was clicked on and also open up this modal. Before moving on, I would need to also do the same for the list sales. So we need to be able to fetch products that are not performing as well. So for that, I'm just going to copy the table widget we have right here and paste it down. And I can bring this to the other side and place it right here. Okay, that didn't work. Seems I need to resize this a bit. Okay. So now I can bring this here. All right, and we need to go to create the query that actually does get the worst performing products. So it's very similar to what we did for the top sales. I'll just create a query that does the opposite of what top sales will do. So this is get list sales, and I'm going to paste in a query that does just that. And very similar to what we did for the top sales. So let's run this, and we should get the least performing products. So now we can head back to the table and link the data coming from that query. So this is going to be list sales data, and we see the least performing products showing up on the table. We can add some text widgets here to serve as labels. So I'm going to bring in a text widget right here and one more right here. So this is going to say top sales. And this is going to say list. All right, so now we can go on with building a flow that displays information about the product that was selected on the table. So when I click on this, I should be able to open up that modal and display information about the product that was clicked on. Let's see. All right, so I am going to make this modal a form modal so that we have more space to work with, and then bring this button to the bottom of the modal. I'll need to display some information, so I'll be bringing in a couple of text widgets to do just that. So I'll need one here, and I'll need another one right there. So let's expand this. For the first property I would like to display, this is going to be the ID. So this is going to be ID, and we can make this faint. So for its value, I'll be reading that from the get product info query. So this is going to be get, okay, my keyboard's working now. So this is to be get product info dot data. This is going to be an array. So I would need to index 0. Seems to be a string. Okay, seems something is wrong with that query, so I need to check it out. Let's open up a new product.
Conference, I think you'll have to increase the timeout of the query.
Okay, let's see if that's. So I'm going to check this out and increase the query timeout and run this. Okay, we're getting data back. So now let's head back to the modal. And we can do info.data, index 0, and then go on to read the properties that we need. So I'm going to copy this because I would need to use this a couple of times. So this will be data.id, and then we have the ID showing up. Let's copy these two text widgets and paste them for the other properties we need to display. We would also need to display the name. We need to display the sales, and we also need to display the department and the hour. So I'm just going to paste this. Well, that's the wrong widget, so I'm going to copy this. So let's copy this and paste this. All right, now I'm going to bring them here to align them with the other properties we have. And now I can go on to display the name. And for this would be data.name. I would also want to display the sales information. This is going to be data.sales. Also, we have the department. And this is going to be department. Okay, we have the department there. And lastly, we want to display the R. So this is going to be R. And this is going to be data.r. And then we have the product showing up. So let's update this model to say product info. All right. Now, what we want to do is to create a flow that allows the admin who will be making use of this app to do two things based on a product. Say, for example, he picks a product that has not been performing well for a period of time. The admin can either choose to create a promotion for that particular product or can choose to delist the product. So let us start by creating a flow that allows the admin to delist a product. So let's update this button and say delist. And when this button is clicked on, we want to update the status of the product that has been selected to be delisted. So let's head back to create a query that will do just that. So I'm going to head back to the Arango data source, create a new query, and this would be delist product. And we have a simple query here that does that kind of update. So right here, the query reads the product ID from the store. You can take a look at the evaluator value pane. We have the ID coming from the store. And what we are just doing here is we are updating the status of the product that has been selected with a status of delisted. And that saves the product back in the database. So let's back to the application and select a product that is not performing well. Say this one we have right here. So I'm going to click on view. And we have information of that product showing up. So when this button is clicked on, what we want to do is to call that query that goes to do the delisting. So I'm going to enable JavaScript and call the delisting query. So this is going to be delist product.run. Then when this query runs successfully, I want to do a couple of things. I want to be able to refresh the application so that we have fresh data coming from the database. So this would be get top sales. I want to rerun get top sales query.run so that we have new sales data. If the product was delisted from the top sales side of the application, and that product is not going to show up anymore on the top sales table. Same also goes for the get list sales query. So this is get list sales.run. The product was removed from that table. We don't want the product showing up on the table anymore. Then we also want to let the user know that the product has been delisted. So this will be show alert. And for the alert text, we want to say product delisted and set the alert type to success. When that's done, we want to close up this modal. So let's close this modal. So this is close modal, and the name of this widget is modal1. All right, so now we can give this a spin. So I'm just going to close everything up. And let's delist this product. So I'm going to click on view. And have that product showing up. Now I'm going to click on the delist button. And we'll see that that product has been removed from the table. So this would let the purchasing team know that we no longer are interested in selling this product and would be halted. Now, let's be the flow that lets us promote a product. So we want to be able to promote the product. The second button, so let's update this to say promote. And for the promote flow, we would need to have the logic and the UI in a different modal widget. So let's bring in a new modal widget. So I'm going to bring in a new modal widget right here. All right. So when that button is clicked, when the promote button is clicked, what we want to do is open up the second modal that we just created. So let's do that. So when this is clicked, we want to open modal, and we want to open modal 2, which is the new modal we just created. So we can click on this, and that opens modal 2. Now, what we want to do is to write some logic that will actually let us to do the promotion. First thing we want to do is to find out what time would be best to do this kind of promotion, because it will make sense to create a promotion. More store customers will be coming to the store so that they can buy stuff and partake from the promotion. So this is create promotion. All right. And we would need a couple of widgets right here. First widget we would be needing is a table widget, and this would house the data or information about the best time when we can create such promotion. So we will need a query to go to the database and find out the best time to do this promotion. So let's head back to create a query. So Arango, and create a new query. So let's call this query get popular time and day. And what this is going to do is that it would perform an aggregation to check what time, what day, and at what time do people buy a lot of stuff from the store. So let's run this, and we can see a list of 5 results because we have a limit here. We have the top 5 time. We can see how much products are bought at this day and at this. The day here signifies Monday. Monday stands for 1, Sunday stands for 0, and this is a 24-hour time. So we would need to head back to the table widget and display this properly. So let's do that. All right, so let's click on view. And promote. And here we can display that data. So this would be get that day and time dot data, and we have the data from that query coming in. So what I'm going to do here is to turn off all table headers, just so we have the data showing up. And for the time property, the time showing here is not really human readable. So I'm going to write some JavaScript that would set the time to AM or PM based on the time value we're reading from each column. So if the time is less than 12, it returns that time value plus the AM string. If not, it returns PM string attached to the time value. And the same also goes for the day. We would want to make the day more human readable. So let's head back to the day column. Let's edit this. And what we're doing right here is we have a static array of strings. We are checking to see, we are supplying the index such that if the day that was supplied here has index 1, which is Monday, the Monday string is sent back to the table widget. And the same goes for the other days we have right here on the string. So here we can have an idea of the best time that would make sense to create that promotion. So now let's add widgets that would actually let us create messages for the promotion. So we would need a text widget, we would need an input widget. I'll need another pair of text and input widgets. I'm just going to place this beneath it. And I'm going to expand this and resize this. All right. So first thing I want to do here is to display the product name. So this would be product. All right. And for the product name, I can safely pull that from the local store. So this is going to be appsmith.store.prod dot name, and we are pulling the product name from the store. Since this should not be editable, I'm going to set this to be disabled so that this input is not editable. Then for the second input, this is going to be for the message. So let's call this message. And let's set this to, now let's configure this input so that we have some default text. So let's say get 10% on your next purchase of product name. And this is going to pull in the product name and append it to the string. So right here, we have some default text that says get this amount of discount when you purchase the product that was selected from the table. And we would need to create some API that would let us do this promotion. So to configure that workflow, I have an n8n instance that is set up to do just that. So this has been configured to run on a webhook that actually sends messages via Gmail. I have a webhook node right here, and I also have a Gmail node right here. So what I can do is to execute this workflow. Before doing that, just for us to be able to test this, I would need to connect both the workflow we have from n8n to the apps application. So for that, I'll need to create a new API. So let's head back to create an API for this. So I'm going to go to the data sources, click on create new. I'm going to be creating a new API. Let's call this API send email. And this is going to be a post request to my n8n instance. And what I want to do is to send a message. So I want to append the message we have from the form to this post request. So this is going to be message. And for I'm going to be pulling it from the input widgets we have right there. So this is going to be input. So this is going to be input2.text. And you can see on the evaluated value pane that we have the default message configured there. So now let's head back to the modal. I'm going to open up that modal. And for the confirm button, we want it such that when this button is clicked on, we run the send email endpoint. That was the one we just created. And we also close this modal and let the user know that a promotion has been created. So to do that, I am going to go to JavaScript mode and run the send email query. And when that is successful, I want to do a couple of other things. First thing I want to do is to let the admin user know that the promotion has been created. So let's show a message with show alert and say created. And for the alert type, this is going to be success. And lastly, what we want to do is to close this modal up. So let's close modal. And this is going to be modal 2. All right, so to test this out, I would need to start up this workflow. But before doing that, can people on the call send us their email address just so that we'll be able to test this out properly? So I'm going to be taking a look at the chat so that I can add your email address to the promotion broadcast. So I already have 2 test emails here. Okay, I have one from Ayush, so I'm going to add his email to the list. Do you have other people sending in their emails? Okay, I have one from Abhishek, so I'm going to add this here also. Okay, I'm adding this also. Okay, so I'm just going to take one more. Thanks everyone for your emails. All right, so we have our Gmail workflow configured. Now that this is done, I can start up the workflow by clicking on the execute workflow. And here we have the webhook waiting for some messages to come in. So we can send a message by typing in something here. let's say get 20% discount on your next purchase of this item. So I'm going to click on the confirm button, and let's see if everything works fine. Okay, so we get the message saying that the promotion has been created. So can someone tell us if they've gotten the email? I'm just going to check my email address. Did anyone else get the email? All right. I can see the email right here, which says get 20% discount on your next purchase that item. Yeah, okay, that's nice. Okay. Let's go back to open up with the application. So what we want to do next is to see some statistical information about the departments we have in the application, and we want to see how much products we have for each department. Going back to the database, we have departments, so we want to be able to see how much products we have per department. I also want to be able to see how much products we have per hour. So let's go back to do just that. But before that, I'm just going to turn off the header options on this table widget. So let's turn all of that off. And I'm going to do the same right here. So I'm going to turn this off. All right. And next, I would need to bring in some chat widgets to do that. So let's bring in a chat widget to display this information. I'll need to bring in a chat. Let's expand this a bit so that we have more. So I'm bringing in a chat widget. I'll bring in another chat widget right here. And just to make everything look a little bit neat, I would need to add a divider widget to separate all sections of the application. So let's bring in a divider widget here. And I'm going to set this to vertical orientation. Let's reduce this a bit. And I'm going to expand this. All right, so we have the nice looking dividers. Now I'm going to expand. Let's also do the same for this chart we have right here. All right, so the first thing we want to do is to build a query that lets us get all products per department. So let's head back to the data source, ArangoDB data source, and create a new query that does just that. So this is going to be department stats. And we would need to paste in a query here. What this query does is that it loops through every product we have in the database and then creates a collection of the departments we have for each product. For a particular product, the total count will be stored in the variable called total, and we are returning that right here in the variable called total. We're also returning the document ID or the product ID, and we are returning the name. Right here, we are writing a query that goes to check for the name of that particular department. So we are pulling all of that information from this query. So let's run button, and we can see all the departments we have here. We can see the ID, and we can also see the total number of products we have here in the items property. So let's head back and display that in the application. So I'm going to be displaying that here. So in the first chart we have here, and to pull in the data coming from that query, this is going to be department stats.data. The charts query expects a data that has an object containing X and Y parameters. So I need to map over this data and return just that. So this is going to be data.map. And what I want to do is return an object that matches that structure. So for X, this is going to be the name. And for the Y property, this is going to be the items, which is the total count. And we have that train up. So let's set this to bar charts, and we can update the title to say department starts, and for the X label, so let's call this products, departments, and this will be the count of products. So let's call this products. And the same also goes for the query that lets us get products per hour. So let's go back to create that query. So I'm going to create a new query and call this hour stats. And it's very similar to what we did for the department. So I'm just going to paste in a query that goes to get products and group them into the hours they are from. So let's run this, and we can see a very similar structure of information. So I'm going to go back to the application and display this in the, and I'm going to display this in the chat widget we have at the bottom here. So for the data, I'm going to be pulling that from the our start query. So this will be our stats.data.map. Similarly, I'll be returning an object that has X and Y properties. It's going to be X, which would be d.name, and Y, which is going to be d.items. And we can set this to an area chart just to have some variation. All right, so let's also update this to say our stats, and this is going to be our. This is going to be products. All right, so we have everything looking nice here. Okay, since we have some extra widgets, I'm just going to delete this and also delete this and delete this and delete this. And delete this. All right. Lastly, we would need to set a splash image. So let's head back to the image and supply a URL for the splash image. We have the splash image right there. I'm going to set this to cover, and we are almost good to go. Let's give our application a name. I'm going to bring in a text widget to do that. So we can say something like blue store dashboard. Get to center this. And then we have the application completely built. So now I can deploy this. Seems something's not right. I'm going to refresh this. For some reason, the window is not responsive.
Can you share us the link in the chat conference?
Okay. Okay.
Can you make the app public and then share?
So okay, it's coming up right now.
Awesome.
Okay, let's make this public. I need to copy this and I'm pasting it in the chat. Yeah, so you should be able to check out the application by visiting that link.
Thanks, Confidence. I'm able to load the app, but I'm seeing a few errors. I'm not sure if it's deployed completely.
Okay.
But it loads for me though.
Okay. So maybe what I just need to do is to I'll stop sharing my screen and increase the query timeouts, because I think that should be one of the reasons why we're having these errors.
Yeah, also set the query refresh on load option.
Okay. I'll do that. Thank you.
If you guys have any questions, you can put it on chat or ask us here.
Thank you, Confidence, for that demo. We'll take a few questions. We are available to take any questions. So you can just go ahead, turn your mic on, or paste them in chat. So yes, this video will be on YouTube. You can just subscribe to our YouTube channel and watch out for this video. We're going to post this in a couple of days. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming here. And we'll do another call next Thursday, which will be all about our latest updates. We have a new release that went out today. Keep an eye out for that. And we have a bunch of major releases that are going out next week as well. So we're going to talk all about it the next week. All right. Have a great day, everyone. And thank you so much for joining us.